Welcome, gang, for another afternoon with Steve Layman of CAS. That's right, I'm saying CAS now. The Astronomical Society of Charlottesville. And we've got a astronomical tidbit for December, and that's going to include what you're going to see in the night sky, including if we could possibly see what's behind me. So Steve, take it away.
Hi, everybody. So happy holiday season. We're going to walk you through the things that you can see in the night sky in December. Almost all of these things are going to be things that you can see naked eye. Certainly a pair of binoculars or a small telescope would enhance your viewing. So first of all, in the December sky, you have the opportunity to be able to see three very bright planets. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all up between the time that the sun goes down and basically about 11 in the evening. And these can be found by using a planetarium program like Stellarium, or simply looking up in the sky with an iPhone app that you might have and pointing the app toward the particular object. These are all in the southern sky. On the 7th of December, we've got last quarter moon, so that means the sky is going to be darker. On the 12th, Venus is actually up and just a little bit south of the moon. It's about 0.8 of a degree south of the moon. Remember, 1 degree is your little finger, and so if you see the moon and you see a bright object about a little finger's width south of the moon, that's the planet Venus. On the 13th, we've got the Geminid meteor shower. Now, this is 1 day away from the new moon, which means it's going to be a very dark sky, and this is going to be one of the best possible Geminid meteor showers that we have had in recent years. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the weather cooperates. Best time to watch the Geminid meteor shower is going to be midnight or afterwards. And it's called the Geminid meteor shower because it radiates or comes out of the Gemini twins in the night sky, which, if you're following, you've got the Pleiades, you've got Orion the Hunter, and then you're going to have Gemini up. I think they're going to be up about 10 o'clock in the night sky, but midnight or after, you've going to have the opportunity to see hopefully a really nice meteor shower. Best thing to do to see this is maybe get a lawn chair and a blanket and a cup of cocoa or coffee, and sit out facing the south, and actually probably south or southeast and southwest, kind of that general direction, and just kind of stare toward the sky in that direction. And I forget what the meteor count would be, but it's certainly many per hour, based on the weather. Again, best time to view is going to be just a little bit before midnight or after midnight. That's the time when the Earth is churning into the stream of the particles. And these are basically particles of an asteroid or a comet that has passed by the Earth. These little particles, as they hit the atmosphere at about 17,000 miles an hour, and they're particles about the size of your little fingernail or even smaller. They hit the atmosphere and burn up. So this is what you're seeing as a meteor. Not a big rock at all.
Steve, can I ask you a question? Because I was writing that down. Did you say in the southeast or southwest sky?
Well, it depends on when you're going to be looking. Okay, because you're basically going to be looking at in the night sky. So the earlier you start to observe, you're going to be looking towards the southeast. closer to midnight, south, if you're looking after midnight.
Kind of spanning.
Southwest, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
On the 14th, again, we've got the new moon, so a really great night for observing that night. There won't be any moon to block anything out, so if you've got binoculars or a small telescope, it's a great night to look for galaxies, star clusters, nebulae, all those kind of things show up a lot better when there's no moon to get in the way. On the 16th, Jupiter is about 3 degrees north of the moon. So that's about 2 fingers width, okay? And on the 20th, if you've got a 4 to, well, maybe a 6 to 8 inch telescope with computer control, you ought to be able to see the planet Neptune about 5 degrees north of the moon, and that's going to be 3 fingers width, okay? But you're going to need to have a fairly powerful telescope. I don't think you're going to be able to pick that up in binoculars, although it will be a fairly dark sky. Winter solstice is on the 21st, and then the days will start to get shorter after that again. Jupiter will be less than a degree south of Saturn on the 21st. And it's going to be a first quarter moon. And so this is going to put Jupiter and Saturn literally right next to each other in the night sky. This happens very rarely. So it's kind of a very cool thing, certainly visible in binoculars or a small telescope. On the 23rd, we've got Mars, which will be a very bright orangish star-looking object about 6 degrees north of the moon, so a little bit wider than 3 fingers north of the moon. And it's also the same evening as the Ursid meteor shower. This is a smaller meteor shower, and this would be one that again would be best viewed midnight or later. And on the 24th, Christmas Eve, Uranus is going to be 3 degrees north of the moon. Again, if you've got a computer-aided telescope of about 6 to 8 inches, you ought to be able to see Uranus as a kind of bluish, purplish, small, very small disk in the telescope. The very cool thing about this is they're way out there in the solar system, to where we're taking as many as 20 or more hours for the light of those far out ice planets to reach your eyeball. So the 30th, the night before New Year's Eve, full moon. So maybe the thing to do that night is to stay and hunker down around the fire and have popcorn and watch a good movie. Kathie, I will send you this list of things just so you can also post it with the other links that I've given you.
Okay.
So some folks have asked some questions about the aurora borealis, the northern lights. In the southern hemisphere, they're known as the aurora australis, and you can see them kind of hovering over Kathie's head right now in her portion of the video. So the northern lights are rarely seen at our latitude. Best place to see them is the far northern latitudes in Canada. United States would be Alaska, northern Europe, and that sort of thing. But they have shown up as far south as Virginia back in the early 2000s. And we're going to talk a little bit now about what causes the aurora. So the sun is constantly giving off a shower of particles headed in all sorts of directions. When the sun's very active and you have some sunspots, you can get a magnetic loop that loops one sunspot to the next. The loops will very often show up in a picture as a kind of a loop of plasma. If that snaps, all the the particles go flying out, and if they're pointed, if the sun is pointed to where, when that snaps, the particles head towards Earth, those charged particles hit Earth's magnetic field, and they collect at the northern and southern poles. And what happens is the electrons cause the oxygen and hydrogen to change their energy state, and then when that happens, we get the shifting colors of bluish, greenish, sometimes pinkish light that are known as the auroras. Again, we don't see those that often at this latitude, but there are all sorts of great videos on YouTube that show the auroras. And
is this the best time of year to see it, though? Is that why it's?
It has to do with the sun's 11-year cycle. So we're heading back into a more active solar cycle. The last really active period of the sun was between 2003 and about 2006, the peak of that cycle. It's an 11-year cycle, but it is starting late. Solar scientists aren't exactly sure why, but it has started to kick in. We've noticed some rather large sunspots lately, and as a matter of fact, I think there was a coronal mass ejection on the 29th or 30th of November. So we have a couple of different things. When there's a coronal mass ejection, we get the aurora. The other thing that can happen is that you can get a solar flare, which is a much more direct and higher energy profile shower of particles heading towards the Earth. When you get a solar class flare, they come in 4 different levels: B, C, M, and X, moving from the least energetic to X being the highest energetic. When you get one of these X-class flares, that's the kind of thing that can damage satellites, cause excess radiation for airline passengers flying near the poles. And actually, I think it was 2003 when part of the Canadian electrical grid went down because of the electrical interference. So the flares can definitely damage a lot of the technology that we've got above us and even on Earth. I've sent Kathie some links of some really great sites that you can use to find out about what's happening with the solar weather. There's spaceweather.com, and if you go to this site, in the lowest left-hand corner of the screen is a prediction of possible solar energetic events that could cause aurora. There is the SOHO webpage, which is the Solar and Heliographic Orbiting Satellite that's out in space that stares constantly at the sun. And that gives you a view of some sunspots, and also takes a look at the surface of the sun in different wavelengths, and it allows you to see just how the surface is constantly roiling and broiling around, and at the various wavelengths you can see some of these energetic events a little bit easier. The other site that I wanted to point you toward was nasa.gov/sun. If you want to get started with a study of our star, the sun, that's probably the best place to go. And I think I sent you one other link that I don't have on my sheet here, but it has to do with a 30-minute oral prediction based on live events. Let me see.
Oral forecast, is that it?
Yes, oral forecast. That's the one. Yep.
Yeah, I do have that link.
Great. Okay.
So I will make sure that everybody has that available.
Yeah, if you go to the spaceweather.com and see that there's a possibility because of activity on the sun to where we might have a high energy event, and it's a clear night, and you've got a cloudless night, you might want to check that 30-minute aurora predictor, and see if there's a chance that perhaps maybe something might reach down as far as Virginia. Let's see. The other thing that I wanted to let folks know about, if you're really interested in astronomy and finding out more about the night sky, a number of folks in the Central Virginia area are members of the Charlottesville Astronomical Society. It's the local astronomy club, if you will. And normally in a perfect year, we would be meeting once a month at the McCormick Observatory, first Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock. We have guest speakers, and we do all sorts of observing sessions with the club. We also have access to the 26-inch telescope at the McCormick Observatory, and very often after meetings, we would open up the telescope and take a look at what's happening in the night sky. In 2020, a much less than perfect year, we're meeting online. We have Zoom meetings, first Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock. And we have guest speakers who are either local astronomers from the National Radio's Astronomy Observatory here in Charlottesville, or the University of Virginia Astronomy Department, or folks from outside of the area. This past Wednesday, we had Jennifer Wiseman, who's a project scientist with the Hubble telescope, who spoke for about an hour on the 30th anniversary of the Hubble telescope. So as a member of the club, you have access to those Zoom meetings, as well as some of the observing possibilities that we're trying to do these days while we're socially distanced. So I think Kathie's going to send you the link for that. You can check the club's website, and if that's something that interests you, I would suggest that you give the club a join. Having said all of that, I think I would like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. And when we get to January, I think what we're going to do is talk a little bit about night sky lore. The winter sky has some great objects, the Pleiades, Taurus the Bull, Orion the Hunter, the Gemini twins. All of those are great asterisms in the night sky. Almost every culture has had some interesting history tied to those. So I think that's what we'll spend our January session working on.
That sounds great, Steve. December sounds pretty exciting for the night sky. So I appreciate you passing on that information, and I will have the links for everybody. I'm going to go onto the link and join the club, because some of these people that Steve mentioned are I would love to hear, especially about the Hubble. And then of course, January sounds like a fun topic as well. So Steve, thank you again. You rock for keeping us up, looking up in the night sky. And I wish you a Merry Christmas too. You've done a lot for us, and we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Holidays.
Yeah. Bye-bye.